think if we would have gotten hysterical like everyone else, it would have just made lives worse. So we were just calm. It was just hard. No, it was pandemonium.
Tales of terror. An Australian couple who escaped the Italian cruise ship disaster touched down in Sydney for an emotional homecoming. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ron Wilson. Welcome to 10's Early News.
And I'm Natasha Exelby. Thank you for joining us. Also making news on Tuesday, January 17. When will it end? Yet another drive-by shooting overnight, the 15th in 16 days, prompting fears that gun crime is out of control.
In sport, Aussie sensation Bernard Tomic shows some true grit, coming back from 2 sets down to beat Fernando Verdasco in the first round of the Australian Open.
And in finance, an unwelcome bank withdrawal as Australian banks look set to lose as many as 7,000 staff over the next 2 years.
Here's a brief check of today's weather. Heavy showers and storms in northern New South Wales and Queensland. Hot northerly winds will affect Victoria, Tasmania and South Australia. Showers and storms in WA and the tropics. First today, a young Australian couple who narrowly escaped with their lives from the Italian cruise ship disaster have arrived home. Grant and Tessa Strickland from Newcastle in New South Wales touched down in Sydney last night after Australian embassy staff in Italy stepped in to bring them back. The couple described the panic, hysteria and pandemonium aboard the luxury liner.
We were in our cabin and basically there was a big bang kind of sound and then the boat tipped. I'm not sure entirely how much the crew members even knew. Like our cabin steward told us it's okay, it can happen. It can happen. We were told over the thing that it was an electrical failing or electrical malfunction, and then the boat seemed to stabilise and then it tipped the other way. So Grant went upstairs to see what was going on and came back down and said, yeah, we need to go up with our life jackets.
No, it's just a...
We were scared, but calm. I think if we would have gotten hysterical like everyone else, it would have just made lives worse. So we were just calm. It was just hard. No, it was pandemonium in the sense of that for them. We just stayed back and watched others crash, wanting to get onto boats, and a lot of people pushing. Them trying to stop. There was a lot of boats because people tried to cram into the boat all at once. Some of the cords snapped on the lifeboats, you know.
I remember I was just kind of going, take deep breaths and you know, try and get out of there.
The embassy made it so much smoother. We got to the hotel and we slept. Everything was organised, and all we had to do the next morning was get up and get to our plane.
Grant and Tessa Strickland safely back home. Gun crime in New South Wales is in danger of spiralling out of control with yet another drive-by shooting in Sydney's west overnight, the 15th in 16 days. A woman and her 2 young children narrowly escaped injury when shots were fired into the front of their Wetherill Park home at around 1 o'clock this morning. Police have established a crime scene and launched yet another investigation. The man accused of the shooting murder of a lone wolf bikie gang member will face a Sydney court today. 25-year-old Tarek Abdullah was flown into Sydney late last night following extradition from Perth. He allegedly gunned down Neil Todorovsky in a drive-by shootout in Sans Souci almost 2 weeks ago. It was the first death from a succession of gun attacks across the city. 8 Australian soldiers caught drinking alcohol in the Middle East have arrived home in disgrace. The group from the Afghanistan-based Mentoring Task Force 3 were on an officially sanctioned trip to Dubai last week, but weren't allowed to consume alcohol. The soldiers were sent back to the base in Tarancot to face charges and were found guilty under the Defence Force Discipline Act. Defence hasn't revealed what punishment has been handed down. A flash flood warning is in place this morning for most of Queensland's coastal residents. Torrential rain is forecast, with the Bureau of Meteorology predicting as much as 150 millimetres over the next 24 hours. It'll be a struggle to stay dry in Gladstone and Bundaberg, while Harvey Bay and Gympie are most at risk of going under. A surface trough off the Capricorn coast is whipping up the storm. A hearing into the spectacular failure of one of the tallest buildings in Christchurch during last year's massive earthquake will begin today. The Grand Chancellor Hotel partially collapsed during the tremor. The internal stairs crumpled and the structure was left leaning 1.5 metres to one side. New Zealand's Royal Commission of Inquiry hopes to find out how the hotel, which was built in the mid-80s with state-of-the-art structural features, ended up so brittle. The hearing is set down for 2 days. Victoria's top cop is facing a challenge after introducing new rules in a bid to get a clean-cut force. It follows a number of complaints from members about new appearance standards which ban ponytails and facial hair, including beards and goatees, and forces female members to follow strict makeup and nail polish guidelines. Most jewellery is also banned under the new rules. The Victorian Equal Opportunity and Human Rights Commission will investigate whether the new appearance standards are discriminatory. Sports news. At Aussie hopefuls Leighton Hewitt and Sam Stosur will both kick off their Australian Open campaigns in front of bumper crowds at Rod Laver Arena today. Roger Federer and Caroline Wozniacki are already through to the second round after commanding wins last night, while Aussie sensation Bernard Tomic has won over the fans with an upset win against Fernando Verdasco.
Leading a tennis giant onto centre court, little-known Alexander Kudrayavtsev went about stealing Roger Federer's spotlight.
Oh, my goodness.
But after losing the first set 7-5, the Russian fell apart, and his wayward shots proved dangerous.
Oh, my goodness. The ball kid almost got decapitated right there.
The ever-calm Federer found time for party tricks as he cruised to the second round with a straight sets win.
How'd you find out about him before the match?
I heard a few things. There's a few things on the internet I was looking at, trying to see.
Rafael Nadal is also through after beating Alex Kuznetsov, later revealing he nearly didn't play after a freak knee injury.
I really couldn't move the knee like this. I don't have any movement on the knee.
Caroline Wozniacki braved a wrist problem and a swarm of crickets as she put an end to Anastasia Rodionova's campaign. But the day's biggest highlight came from Aussie teenager Bernard Tomic, who upstaged Fernando Verdasco in 5 sets.
This is probably the toughest 5-setters match I've ever played, and to be able to turn around the match from a player like that, it just shows me what I'm capable of doing.
Jackie Reid, 10 News.
Green Edge cyclist Luke Durbridge will saddle up in stage 1 of the Tour Down Under today after shaking off a concussion. He was knocked out on the way to the lead-up event, the Down Under Classic, but has since passed a medical.
Sort of looking back and wasn't looking forward. The lights went red and swerved Lee out and ran straight up the back of Matt Goss, and I sort of fell awkwardly, fell on the back of my head and knocked myself out a bit. Woke up and Stewie's looking over me and I was like, oh, whew.
German Andre Greipel won the Classic. Stage 1 of the Tour starts later this morning. Well, what you're about to see from American college basketball has been dubbed the miracle shot. Trailing by 2 points with the clock winding down, Chase Spreen from Lindsey Wilson College launches this so-called Hail Mary. And while the caller gets his breath back, I can tell you Spreen's long bong gave Lindsey Wilson College a memorable 1-point win over Georgetown. Well, she's excited to be here. Not that excited, though. Natasha Exelby, good morning to you. Welcome to Finance. It used to be if you were in a job in the bank, you were there for life. Not so anymore.
No. Occupy protesters might like this one, though, Ron. A stark warning today that Australia's banks could cull as many as 7,000 jobs in the next 2 years. A report from Finance House, UBS Securities, makes for very grim reading. It says our banks are scrambling to cut costs and send more jobs overseas. It believes banks have simply hired too many staff in recent years. And the reason? The world economic problems gets the blame again. The report says banks never forecast the downturn would drag on for so long. And while we're talking about the world economic downturn, this should actually put a spring in Nicolas Sarkozy's step. Ratings agency Moody's says it's maintaining France's top-tier AAA credit rating. For now, the country was downgraded by rival Standard & Poor's. Moody's has maintained France's outlook as stable, while S&P rates the nation's outlook as negative. It says it will update the market during the first quarter of 2012. French leaders will seize on that news as a glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak outlook. Let's have a look at the figures in detail now. Monday was a public holiday in the United States for the Martin Luther King Day, so let's go straight over to Europe. Surprisingly, the main markets weren't as spooked by S&P's credit rating downgrades as economists predicted. The main markets floated between positive and negative territory throughout the day, but all of them finished on top. In Asia, not so much. The Nikkei hit a 4-week low closing and the Hang Seng plummeted by almost 200 points. To the commodities, and oil is trading slightly lower at just under $99 a barrel, and gold is up just by a whisker. To the currency crosses, and one Aussie dollar buys 103 US cents and 81 euro cents. Our market shed 46 points by the closing bell yesterday, but the SPY is predicting we will make up those losses today. A lot of that will depend on the GDP figures coming out of China.
This weather check on your screen. Brisbane showers today, as with most of the Queensland coast, top of 25 degrees. Sydney mostly sunny, 26. Canberra increasing sunshine, 28. Very summery right across the south of the country today. Melbourne windy, 35. Hobart windy, 33. Adelaide late shower, 39 degrees today. And Perth sunny with 31. Darwin will have late thunder with 34 degrees. Check the newspaper headlines this morning. The Australian reports up to 6 million volunteers, including surf lifesavers, have been reclassified as workers. Under occupational health and safety laws, this means they could be prosecuted if an accident happens on their watch.
The Courier Mail leads with a brave 14-year-old boy who has lifted organ donation rates after he jet skied down the Murray River despite having a debilitating disease. What a champion.
And the Daily Telegraph reports on how Queensland tennis ace Bernard Tomic defied the odds, coming back from 2 sets down to beat Spaniard Fernando Verdasco at the Australian Open.